All right, as a former New Yorker, I'm a little on edge because this guy is running for mayor and it's not looking so good. That's Zohran Mamdani who is running. And if you haven't been following, I'm sure you have because everyone's on edge these days about this election. He's a Marxist. He will be absolutely toxic for the beautiful city that I once called home. And it's devastating to continue to see because right now, those who fought to keep New York safe are on the sidelines watching as this happens. New York City has completely shifted over the years, and it's heartbreaking to watch. But this individual is someone who is anti law enforcement and really just wants to abolish police altogether. And so New York City is possibly going to be in for a radical change, as if it wasn't really bad enough right now. Joining me to discuss is someone I know everyone at home knows. Mayor Rudy Giuliani joins the show. He is the host of America's Mayor Live at 8 p.m. on X and on Rumble. Mayor, I want to thank you for being here. First time on the show, and I'm very honored to have you here
Well,
because
I'm very happy to be here, Breanna. Thank you. Thank you very much.
thank you. Because, Mayor, I mean, I'm a New Yorker. I love New York City, and it breaks my heart that we're about to see potentially a very radical turn with this Madani guy running right now. And I know a lot of New Yorkers are really on edge because he doesn't support law enforcement. He is a Marxist, and a lot of people question his foreign ties as well. So, what do you think of his candidacy, and can New York really be saved right now?
Well, it's almost unthinkable. It's one of those many things that happen now where you wake up in the morning when you find out he's running and you say to yourself, I never thought this could happen. And I never thought we would have an actual communist running for mayor of New York City. Now, de Blasio was a communist, but he took pains to try to deny it. No reason to go into detail about it, but he was definitely a communist. This guy, I don't think he even bothers to deny it. And he is anti-American. He hates this country. I had a particularly close relationship with the police department. I reduced crime more than any mayor in the history of New York, actually any mayor anywhere, and largely because of my close relationship with the police department. And it's the greatest police department in the world, and he is defaming it. The last mayor who did that was de Blasio, and he got a cop killed over it. That's the reason the police turned their back on him. There was a shooting in Baltimore. De Blasio said, oh, we have racism in New York Police Department. And a guy came up from Baltimore and killed two New York City police officers. So this is a child, a spoiled, rich brat. He's 31, 33, 34 years old. He's never worked a day in his life. He's a rich communist, which of course all the leaders are. That's part of the contradiction and hypocrisy of communism. They're all wealthy, and I don't even know where to start. What he wants to do to the police department is outrageous. He calls them racist. He says they're vicious, and how he expects to have them have the morale to carry out the very difficult things they have to do under him is very dangerous for the people of the city. Not to mention the fact that he wants to have government-owned grocery stores. He wants to give people everything for nothing. And he wants to raise taxes on the rich people because he doesn't believe anybody except him should be rich. Meanwhile, he's cheating like hell with a rent-stabilized apartment. He comes from a millionaire family, and he's in an apartment that's put aside for poor people. Now, how did he get nominated? How does he have the largest vote? People are not paying attention. They're going to wake up with him as mayor, and then they're going to spend 4 years saying, how do we do this to ourselves?
Yeah. Yeah. And sadly, Mayor, I think New York City needs to hit rock bottom because there's so many people who now live in New York City who I think are kind of the same as this guy, right? They're spoiled brats from other states. Their parents are paying their rent. They were sent to New York City. That's a lot of people in New York. Not all, of course, but a lot. And that's who's voting for these individuals in these primaries. It's really difficult to wrap my mind around the fact that Governor Andrew Cuomo lost in the primary against this guy. I mean, Cuomo was bad, but to lose against the communists, I mean, that's really, really bad, Mayor.
Well, it is bad. I mean, Curtis Flewer is the Republican candidate, and he's in third place right now. And there's a chance he could win. But what would happen is people would have to start, there's still time, people would have to start really absorbing who this guy is. I don't know that that's happened yet. So I'm hoping, and I may be overly optimistic, that as people start to look at his position on schools is terrible. He's against charter schools. He's against any alternative, but one of the most rotten school systems in the country. I mean, we rate down like 24, 25, 26. We spend more money than any place in the country. And the ratings have fallen about 60% since I was mayor, and the expenditures have gone up 80%. I could almost do a chart for you, Breanna. The more money they spent since I left as mayor, the more the scores went down. Now it's a tragedy. I mean, basically, people get out of high school in New York, and half of them can't read and write.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's because a lot of the people involved, I'm sure, are getting rich while their children are getting, I'm not going to
Well,
say the bad word, but
it's all the teachers union, and he's a
yeah.
creature of the teachers union. He's completely owned by them.
Yeah.
Now that would be true of any Democrat mayor. I mean, look, he's every time New York City has a Democratic mayor, New York City is in a crisis because the Democrat Party in New York is crooked. It's dishonest. It's crooked. It has been crooked for 160 years. And the only time you get honest government in New York is when you elect an independent or a Republican. It can be an independent Democrat like Ed Koch, for example. But the rule in New York is Tammany Hall dishonesty. The New York Democrats even named a courthouse after Boss Tweed, who was kind of the creator of urban corruption. They have a courthouse named after him. They take down Thomas Jefferson's statue, and they keep one up to a major political Democrat criminal.
Yeah. Well, that's New York for you. You know, it was my beat back in the day. It was actually my first news beat was covering New York Democrats and their corruption. And so I'm like an expert on that issue. And I think there's some relief though for those at home right now who are watching because, you know, President Trump has been very aggressive on the front of going after those corrupt officials. And I was very, very excited to see that the DOJ is now stepping it up a notch and going after the very corrupt AG in New York, Letitia James. Now she's someone who many of us have accused of committing crimes, but we haven't been able to get her into a criminal courtroom. And we're getting closer to that. You know, Ed Martin has just been appointed special counsel to look into the mortgage fraud claims that have been made. She's also received subpoenas from the DOJ regarding her lawfare attacks on President Trump. And so there's glimpses of hope that New York Democrats might possibly be held accountable. What's your reaction to this? Because you've been the victim of a lot of this politicized lawfare. We know that very well, sadly. And Letitia James has been one of the main characters in all of this.
Yeah, I think it's ironic that what she's guilty of is fraud. I mean, since she did a phony fraud case against the president where nobody lost any money. In her case, people lost money. She actually claimed to be, I think, married to her father in order to get double tax deductions in two different places. She claimed to be a resident of Maryland while she was the Attorney General of New York, so she could get favorable tax treatment in Maryland and in New York. So she was cheating the taxpayers. So what she claimed Trump did, which he didn't do, she actually did. And there she was sitting throughout that trial, you know, being holier than thou. And at the very moment she was doing that, she had an ongoing fraud against the people of New York, the people of Maryland, and possibly even the United States.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's important that we start off with Tish James because she was one of the main characters. I mean, she literally ran on this when she ran for AG. And so I think it's really important that we hold her accountable. Mayor, who else would you like to be seen that's held accountable right now? Because obviously there's a long list. But if you were going out there and you were prosecuting these individuals, what cases would you want to take up first? There's a lot going on when it comes to holding these people accountable on the left.
Well, I think, hard to not think of Schiff, since he's under investigation for essentially the same thing. He in two places, claimed permanent residency in order to get tax credits in both places. In one of those places, he wasn't entitled to it. He cheated. Now, I've always thought Schiff really should be tried for sedition because he perpetrated for years and years a story he knew was false in order to remove a duly elected president. He still hasn't identified the witnesses that he has of Russian collusion. If he does, then every FBI investigation, Mueller, and everybody else who investigated it, who says that there was no Russian collusion, you could be very surprised if he comes up with a witness. But he doesn't have a witness. He was just lying. And he was stupid enough to do it on television. Had he done it just in front of Congress, he would have had the immunity clause protecting him. But I mean, I collected all this on him when I represented President Trump. He would go on television and make these absolutely false claims, and then he would present those to Congress. But the ones that he made on television certainly can be used against him. In addition to his mortgage fraud, which I consider kind of like going after Al Capone for tax evasion. This guy is guilty of a lot worse things than mortgage fraud. He's guilty of trying to take down the government of the United States. Now, who was running that conspiracy? Barack Obama. And this idea that he's immune, this took place after he was president of the United States. He may have started it when he was president, but he continued it after he was president. He's not immune with regard to things that took place after he was president. And I don't think Biden gave him immunity. And then I wonder if any of them have immunity. I mean, an auto pen can't give you immunity. The Constitution doesn't say an auto pen can give you immunity. It says the president can. And if you want to go back to the history of immunity, it comes from the king's power. Pardon. The king's power to pardon. And the king has to make a conscious decision that you're forgiven for what you did. And if he made no decision on these people, then they're not pardoned. I can't imagine that he pardoned 1,500 people in 2 days. He fall asleep after the first 3. I mean, if anybody testified, first of all, I'm not even sure they checked with him. Number 2, if they checked with him, I'm not even sure he'd be awake when they were checking with him. So I don't know how a demented president who doesn't know what the hell he's doing can pardon people with an auto pen.
Yeah. Yeah. And Mayor, that's a fair argument to make, because I remember when I was going through his pardons, there was one that stood out to me. There was an individual who was charged in Texas with possession of child pornography, and his sentence was commuted, and he was actually sent back to the CCP because he was a Chinese national. And in my head, it's like, as any president, would you want your legacy to be that you freed a convicted pedophile who had thousands of child pornographic images on his devices? Any reasonable president wouldn't want that to be his legacy, because obviously that would taint it. So I think it's fair to say that he probably wasn't aware of a lot of these pardons that were being issued. And when it comes to Adam Schiff, Adam Schiff received the pardon, but it's not in regards to any of the crimes you just outlined. It's regarding J6. And so I have a feeling that they could challenge it. Even if they lose the auto pen challenge itself, there's still a lot to go after Schiff with. And I really hope they take it up.
The only general pardon that he gave was to his son. He pardoned his son for all the things that are alleged and everything else he might have done. Now, that is also questionable whether you can do that. I mean, suppose a hunter kills somebody during that period of time and we just didn't know about it. Would he be pardoned for that? No, I don't think so. And now that's a very, very close legal argument. The Supreme Court would have to decide it. But I think we should challenge his pardons. I don't think we should accept his pardons. And it'll get us to the bottom through a court, not just Congress, of what the heck he did with the auto pen.
Yeah, I'd love to see that, especially all the people who were taken off death row without the victims' families involved in any of that, and just sentenced to life in prison when the families weren't allowed to weigh in on that. I think it's absolutely devastating, but it's something that we cannot just allow to stand. We do need our DOJ to get involved and to challenge that, because these victims, these family members, they do deserve justice, and so we hope that they do get that. Mayor, I wanted to remind our audience, you do a great show here on Rumble. You are the host of America's Mayor live at 8 p.m. Eastern time, so right after this show. So guys, make sure you go head on over to his Rumble page. Give him a follow. Mayor Giuliani, I appreciate your time as always. Thank you for joining the show today.
Well, thank you, Breanna. Great job.
Independent news can only stay independent when you support it. So if you enjoy my work and this show, I'd greatly appreciate your support over at theindependentnewsroom.com. We have a donations tab set up. You could become a one-time donor or a monthly donor, and you get to pick the dollar amount. Now, it's all secure because it's done through a donor box, and we've just embedded it onto our website. So you can head on over right now to the independentnewsroom.com. That's independentnewsroom.com. Make that donation because, folks, we're not being funded by any corrupt corporations or foreign governments. We are strictly funded by all of you at home, and I try my very, very best to not play ads during the show. So if you'd like to support my work as an independent journalist, it's independentnewsroom.com. That's the independentnewsroom.com.